Auburn lands their quarterback for the 2028 class.
In the world full of podcasts, he's the undisputed heavyweight champion of hot takes, an Auburn sports homer, master of the boog, and message board legend. Get your buttons buttoned and your hats flattened because the Top Button Podcast is about to kick off. And you don't want to miss your courtside seat. Now, here's your host, Charlie 5.
So we're back. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Rush, a.k.a. Charlie 5, and we are ready to get after it. Auburn lands their 2028 quarterback in Sam Sollie, and don't sleep on this kid. He's going to be good. We're going to walk through his ranking, his story, and everything. It's a big week for quarterbacks and the offensive line to try to redeem themselves a little bit, maybe is the right word, potentially from spring. And then our boy Jackson Koivun makes the playoffs. Going to talk through that and how crazy it is and how quickly he did that. But let's jump right into it. On Saturday, Auburn gets a commitment from Sam Sollie, quarterback from Gadsden City High School. And this name popped up maybe the beginning of summer, and Auburn really hadn't cooled off since, and he kind of became Auburn's top quarterback prospect for this particular class, and finally gets him to pull the trigger. He had a really, really cool video. Lifelong Auburn fan, showed all of his, pictures of him growing up as a kid wearing Auburn gear, and he gets to call Auburn home. It's going to be a while, as he's just now going into his junior year. But regardless, as timelines shift as far as recruiting goes, it just gets earlier and earlier. I know people say, I'm not getting excited over a kid, that's only going into his junior year of high school. Well, that's becoming the norm now. Already switching gears and working towards the 2028 class 2 years out or a year and a half out, whatever. Let's talk about Sam Sollie a little bit more in depth. And I want to show you guys something because I've seen a lot of people griping, and I've seen a lot of people, gnashing their teeth. Oh, this guy's not rated anything. Like, what's the deal? What are we doing? This is the year we needed to go get a big quarterback. And the talk and the comparison will be like, I really thought we'd go try to get go after a Will Minsel type quarterback, another big name guy. Remember, Auburn battled Oregon down to the end for that one and missed out in the end. This is Will Minsel's recruiting profile in July. Didn't have a screenshot from, I used the old Wayback Machine. You ever use that? You can go to Wayback Machine and you can put a URL in, and it'll show you timestamps from like days past. This is Will Minsel's recruiting profile in July going into his junior year. So essentially the same time frame as Sam Sollie right now. Okay, this is the profile. Not only is he unranked, he's not even got his profile claimed. So nobody, recruiting services really didn't even know who Will Minsel was at this point in time. Okay? If you go to 247 Sports, he was a very, very low-ranked 3-star. I think he was he was outside the top 600 in players and 85 overall, and that was as soon as June 24th before going into his junior year. He didn't get ranked a 4-star until November of his junior year. And it was a very, very low 4-star, and then he continued to climb from there. So I say all that to say this is Sam Sollie's profile right now. Obviously a 3-star on Rivals. He's an 87 right now on 247 Sports, which is ahead of where Will Minsel was at this point in time going into his junior year. So a lot of time to go up, a lot of time to climb. And when this is your offer list, Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi State, and so on and so forth. There's several more. Kentucky's on the list. Pretty much everybody in the Southeast knows this kid, and there's also a little bit of the Auburn connection there that probably scares some people away from investing too much time. But his ranking is going to inevitably go up. Remember, last year he transferred to Gadsden City from a smaller private school and honestly got thrown to the wolves. Gadsden City opened their first 3 games 1-2, and then he kind of took over in game 4 and took them to the playoffs and went 7-2. I think he lost in the second round of the playoffs, knocked off Bob Jones, which I know is a bigger high school, and played solid. From what I'm told, they had some injury issues along their offensive line. He was running a good bit for his life for the most part, but he got it done. He got the wins on the board as a sophomore. That's another thing you got to remember. This was his sophomore year, first time really being a starter. So earlier in this summer or spring, coaches really started evaluating quarterbacks really, really hard, had some camps, had a bunch of the top guys from the Southeast come in and throw for him. And Sam just really stole the show. They were really impressed with not just being able to, rip balls down the field, throw deep balls, but the ability to layer throws over the defender, over and under defenders, be able to throw that long out route to the sideline, even at a really young age, a very strong arm and very accurate. So right then and there, they were like, this is our number one guy. The Auburn connection, a little bit more skin in the game. You think he'll go out there and put it all on the line, even more so than the next guy. And it's not just that you're recruiting an Auburn fan, it's you're recruiting an Auburn fan that it's pretty dang good. So I wanted to give you the context on comparisons. Like if you're talking about a top quarterback that you want to get in this particular class, Sam Sollie could be that guy. You just got to give it time. You got to give it time for his, I would imagine, as this junior year goes, if he has a solid year, his ranking could skyrocket towards, that November range. Now, I've also been told, wouldn't be shocked if he were to be one of those kids that his senior year gets, offered to go play at one of those, elite academies or something like that. So that could be something to watch too, where he gets even more good competition and potentially could rise even further. So be pumped. Sam Sollie, first recruit commit of the 2028 class. It's a quarterback. It's a good one. That one will be really, really fun to watch. So everybody go follow him on all his social media stuff too. He's put out a bunch of pro Auburn stuff. So Sam Sollie in the boat. Now you just got to keep him. It's a big week for narratives, I think, that culminates in a scrimmage. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But before we do that, let's give a quick shout out to the PTAC Precision Tune Auto Care in Opelika at the corner of Veterans and Pepperell Parkway, where 2 parkways collide. They still have their Beat the Heat special going on. Free performance evaluation, free AC performance evaluation, free system pressure test, free vent temperature analysis. And then if anything's wrong and the repairs are over $300, they're going to give you $50 off. And I guess I'll tell you what, if nothing's wrong, they're going to tell you that too. You're good to go. But you have the peace of mind knowing that you got it checked out. They're open at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time now. And if you drop your vehicle off between 7 and 9, you can get a $50 oil change. If nothing else, that's the best deal in town. Show them some love. It's Precision Tune Auto Care. And then don't forget to buy Auburn. Go to buyauburn.com. If you want to find Auburn-owned businesses all across the country, this is the place to go. Do business with Auburn people first. If we're talking about Auburn family, what better way to be a part of and support the Auburn family than doing business with Auburn people? When you start a purchase, go to buyauburn.com, see if the service or product is available. If it's not, cool, you can go elsewhere. We're adding new businesses every single day. If you're a business owner, you can list your business for less than $1 a day. Just go to buyauburn.com, hit apply, and we'll take care of the rest. It's buyauburn.com. We'll be back right after this. It's a big week, I think, for Byrum Brown, and it's a big week for the offensive line. And why do I say that? It's no secret. Like, we don't have to play pretend that the defense, I would say, by and large, won the spring to the point where it made it kind of tough at times for them to get much done. They were just really far ahead of the offensive line and made it to where it was tough on Byrum Brown, period. And then you fast forward to the spring game, and although you couldn't get anything out of the running game, and I thought if they wouldn't have blown the whistle quick a few times, like he could have had some really, really big rushes, and like those things will be a huge factor in actual games. Like his legs are going to be a huge factor in actual games. But I would say he had a disappointing is not the right word, but I think everybody had very, very high expectations, and it did not quite live up to it. So this week you had one full practice, all pads on Saturday. I would imagine most of these practices are going to be pads or at least shells for most of the week that will culminate in a scrimmage on Friday. Offensive line, there was this silly video. It's not a silly video. Let me take it back. Take that back. There was a good video that was put out by Justin Hokanson, and the comments on it were silly. It was an offensive line drill where there's this machine they call Big Bertha, and the thing weighs over 350 pounds, and it's in a unnatural low spot, like that over-exaggerates the offensive lineman having to get low and explode up. And then when they explode up, it's 350 pounds plus. Now, if you look at the defensive line drills where they're hitting the sleds and they're exploding up, they're exponentially less weight. And they're not curled and over and very, very bent low. It's just an easier drill. This is like a level 10 offensive line drill. And people are going nuts in the comments. Mostly because an offensive line coach is seemingly disappointed in how the drill's going. Got news for you guys. There's not many times you see a football coach, particularly on the offensive line, that's just celebrating and shooting fireworks after an offensive line drill. That's just not their thing. It's always got to get better, got to get better, got to get better. I'm disappointed that's not good enough. I mean, that's typically how I feel like offensive line coaches and defensive line coaches, man, that's just how they are. That's how you get that nasty attitude. You kind of emulate your position coach. Vontrell's super intense. Hoodie's super intense. Parker Ball's super intense. So the offensive linemen hopefully are going to be just as intense. I say all that to say they need a big week this week. Need to start hearing running backs popping off. In the scrimmage, I want to hear that you're getting good push, particularly in the run game, able to protect, all those things. It's all about, I mean, it's not, I don't guess it's 1,000,000% necessary, but it's about, correcting some narratives or easing some concerns. You shouldn't go out there to just with the goal to ease concerns, but I think in general, for the whole, mental aspect of it, I think you need to go get some wins. And this is a big, big week for it. I mentioned it on the live last night. We have a viewing period on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll go live after both of those around 2 o'clock like we've been doing. And then on Friday, morning, there's a scrimmage, and we will speak with Golesh afterwards around lunchtime. So definitely want to be locked in for that. I think tomorrow it's a closed practice, and we get to speak with potentially, I think it's Tim Banks, maybe some other coaches, and then a couple of players. So we'll have some stuff from there too. So busy week, a lot going on. Make sure you're tuned in, locked in with everything that's going on. I want to finish up by throwing some flowers to our guy, Jackson Koivun. Just recently finished his Auburn career, turned pro, and has had a phenomenal run. I mean, I think he'd probably be disappointed other than the win. Like, obviously, winning the 3M was unbelievable. But Jackson Koivun has made the PGA's version of the playoffs. They actually call it the playoffs. And I want to give you some context to kind of give you an idea of how amazing this feat is. Okay, so the way you make it to the playoffs, the PGA Tour's tournament season starts in January. Okay, and every time you play a tournament, the higher you finish, the more points you accumulate. If you win, it's a huge bucket load of points. And then they do that throughout the whole season. And then you get to right now, which was this past weekend was the last tournament. And only the top 70 in points get to advance to the final two events before the Tour Championship. So Jackson has played, I think this was his 5th event. So think about it. He's played 5 events, and then you have people that have played all year long. And in those 5 events, he made the top 70 golfers on the PGA. He made it inside the top 70 in points on the PGA Tour, and it's the fastest it's ever been done for a guy coming out of college. The only time anybody's ever come out of college like that in their first 5 events and made the playoffs. There's only one other person that's ever made the playoffs in 5 events. You know who that guy was? I'll give you a guess. Tiger Woods. I wanted to give you a second to think. Tiger Woods, I think, is the only player to come in. I think he was coming in off of an injury, had 5 starts, made the playoffs. Now, they will do a cut of the top set. So, like, you have the 70 go into the next event. And I don't know exactly the format, but they'll play, and then there will be a cut of a certain number of people, and then they'll cut again as it goes to the Tour Championship. So, Jackson made it in literally on the number. He made it in on number 70. So, he's got to really have a good finish this coming weekend to be able to advance to the next weekend. But regardless, how cool is that? So many firsts with this guy, man. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. He gets a lot of eyeballs, and I think he's going to garner a lot of fans, even outside of just Auburn fans. So definitely something to watch. That's Auburn flavor related. You can watch it leading up to football season. So good stuff. Shout out to Jackson. Great job, man. All right, we're going to get out of here. We're going to be talking football so much this week. Make sure you're liked. Make sure you subscribed. Hit that alert bell so you know when all the content drops. And, boy, we're going to have a ton of it. And we will talk again real soon. It's another episode of the Top Button Podcast. Stay buttoned.
Thanks for listening, and drive home safely.